We have got to get going, Chris. Are you ready?
Yeah, just 1 second.
Get off your phone.
I am. I'm just taking a quick glance at the socials and stuff. It's fun seeing people, our friends post about their travels and stuff.
Well, I don't see how you have a chance to look at anything. As fast as your thumb is going, they should make a little thing that goes on there to measure the miles that your thumb sees in a day. They could call it like a thermometer. No,
a thermometer is what you put on your mouth.
A thermodometer. A thermodometer.
A pedometer is what they call it when you walk.
Yeah, but we're not walking. It's your thumb. It's a thermometer. A thermodometer.
Thermometer. No, a
thumpodometer. A thumpa.
A thumbodometer or something.
Well, whatever it is, let's get going.
It's the Riveted.
With Chris and Gina.
All right, we are here at Ocean Lakes Family Campground in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for the Carolinas Airstream Club rally, end-of-year rally. And we're excited to be here because it's been several years since we've come to this particular rally.
It has, but what's even more exciting is that we have a guest with us today.
Well, yeah.
In our studio.
Yeah.
In our Airstream.
In our Airstream podcast studio, which is exciting and new for us. We've been doing this now for a couple months and having a lot of fun. And we're excited to have a gentleman with us he's wearing many hats in the Airstream community now. And he's been around the block a time or two and very well versed around an Airstream trailer. And we're excited to talk with him. He's part of the Carolinas Airstream Club, so much so that he's getting ready to be sworn in as the next president of the club.
Here at the rally.
Yes.
Yes.
And also has some amazing other things that he does with caravans throughout the club and so forth. So we're excited to chat with him. His name's Ray Combs. He's actually, and we didn't force him to do this or anything, but he's parked right behind us. And we're like, hey, you're this close. Come and sit down with us and chat. And He graciously said yes, and we're excited to have him. So, Ray, welcome to The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Glad to be here.
We're glad you're here, Ray.
Yeah, this is fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We always like to have dignitaries on the podcast. And is that the official term we should give a president or future president of the club, or a dignitary?
I think that's pushing it a little bit. I'm not ready to say dignitary. That's
okay.
Too much comes with that. Too much baggage comes with that. I'm just another Airstreamer volunteer like everybody else in the park today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I like
and
that.
The club needs a lot of volunteers, so that's good.
We do have a big need for volunteers. It's one of the few clubs that's pretty much run by volunteers.
Yeah,
many of them coming from Carolinas Airstream Club, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
We've known this about Carolinas Airstream Club, but it didn't really resonate, I don't think, with us as much until recently that, this particular club is going to be 65 years old next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. Yeah.
Which
we're making a big deal out of it throughout the year.
Yeah. And that it should be.
It's going to be an exciting year for the club, I think.
Yeah. I think this rally, what did they say? Over 80 rigs are going to be?
Almost 80 rigs. We don't know exactly how many because some people made reservations for the campground but didn't tell us they were coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it's at least 80.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Well, so you're looking at basically 150, 160 people.
Yeah, well, we're one of the largest clubs in the country. I think several years ago we were number 5 in terms of total membership, regular membership and affiliates. But it's a very, very large and active club.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, we're excited to be here this weekend and looking forward for all the activities that we're going to have.
Well, it's fun to just get plugged back in and see some faces we've seen in years past and meet new friends as well, too, and sit down with the future prez.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're kind of getting in there early with him, aren't we?
Yeah.
You might end up getting voluntold for something. You never
know.
Oh.
That's a term, voluntold.
Voluntold. I just learned that term, too.
Voluntold. I like that.
I've been accused of volunteering people.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, that makes sense. That kind of, in a way, has already happened a little bit because they're asked us to find some folks that have been longstanding members of the club here at the rally and sit down and try to capture some of their memories and thoughts through recording, and we're excited to do that this weekend, too. So Anyway, well, let's get on
We got
to
a lot happening.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
Ray, let's ask you. We like to ask everybody that comes on the podcast, like, what your entry point was to Airstream. Like, what caused you to say, "Man, I really want to get one of those trailers," and then, like what, like where were you in life? What was going on? And then tell us a little bit about your enjoyment of it so far.
Well, we retired in the 2000 aughts, and it just so happens that the Airstream dealer in North Carolina is only about 5 miles from our house. And we kept riding by, and our daughter had done a lot of camping, and we had been camping on the ground, and you can only take that so long, so we wanted to get off the ground. Bought a pop-up, didn't like the pop-up, so we went to the Airstream dealer, which also had some box trailers there, and we didn't know if we wanted Airstream or not. We asked him, why should we want to buy the Airstream, of course, which he was pushing, instead of one of these other boxes, and his answer, I'll always remember, said, it depends on how long you want it to last. If you want it to last 2 or 3 years, I'll sell you that one over there. But if you want it to last for a lifetime, I'll sell you that one over there. And that was kind of the beginning. It was a little Bambi that we kept for about 6 months, and turned out to be really too small.
Yeah.
So we traded it in on a Flying Cloud, 25-foot Flying Cloud. That would have been 2010, and we still have it today, still doing fine.
I have to say that has to be one of the best sales tactics I've ever heard.
If you want to only last a couple of years, I'll say that.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, what I think's funny is, and somebody else has said this too when we've asked him that question, is, yeah, we started out sleeping on the ground, and we didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's clamping for sure.
Yeah, and we bought ours from the dealer in Greensboro too.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah,
we did.
Recently?
17.
17.
Okay.
17. Yeah.
So you probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great dealership, and we bounced back and forth with. Gina wanted a particular color of upholstery, and they had the floor plan we wanted, but they didn't have the upholstery, and so we were going to possibly have to go to a different dealer, and this was pre pandemic and pre whenever availability got so tight. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we'll order you one, and you can get it exactly the way you want it, and didn't promise it. Yeah, didn't promise us that it would come in as the next year model, but we got it in June of 17, and it was 2018 when it arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and they
and it was 3 months. We placed our order in March, and about mid-March, and we had it June 8th.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty quick.
That's really quick, especially nowadays.
Of course, during COVID, it slowed down a lot.
It did.
Big time.
Yes, it did.
That was pretty quick.
But that's a great entry into Airstreams. But once you had the Bambi, and of course now you've upgraded to a larger one, but just being in the Airstream and learning the culture and the community, like, have you been extremely happy with it? I'm assuming, with everything that you did for the club.
Happy was fun. We joined the club kind of as a requirement. We'd had an Airstream for 2 years before we joined in 2012. But we had I heard about this caravan thing coming down the East Coast, starting up in Maryland and coming down to Georgia, and we wanted to go on it. So we found out who this leader was, and we called him and said, "Can we go on your caravan?" He was saying, "Well, sure. What's your BRN?" I was stumped. What's my BRN? And my mind goes through all these things that BRN could be, and it wasn't pleasant.
Right.
And then, long story short, he said, "Well, you're a member of the club." I said, "What club?" And so we had to join the club in order to go on this caravan. So we did, and that's kind of how we, I guess, came in through the back door. And it was really kind of funny because we didn't know anybody that had an Airstream, and we thought maybe they're kind of snooty and snobby. So the caravan we went on was down the East Coast, which is always, every stop was always at least a day's drive to get home, since we're in North Carolina. And so that was our plan, but we didn't know how to dress or anything. So I got my tux cleaned, and Carol got some jewelry, and so we were going to be ready to dress up to go to dinners and cocktail parties. Well, of course, the rest of history didn't happen. We just basic people, just good old basic people, and so we got a big kick out of that, and we really enjoyed that caravan, and went on. We've been only 13 or 14 since then, and have led 5. So we've been on our share of caravans.
Wow, that's a lot of caravans.
It is. Yeah. And well, I mean, that's, for a lot of people, one of the most unique or most desirable aspects of being a part of the club, right?
That's correct. That's correct. A lot of people have joined for caravans, have stayed in the club for caravans. We've got people who've been on 20, 25 caravans.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's and then we have a long wait list, as I'm sure you're probably aware, and we ask people just hang in there, get on the wait list because they do move fast.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's probably a wait list for certain areas over others, right?
Certain caravans over others.
Okay.
Yes. The bigger caravans, the caravan to Alaska has a long wait list. Caravan to Newfoundland. Newfoundland. It's the way they say it. They say it Newfoundland. It's not Newfoundland. It's Newfoundland up there.
Oh.
That's got a long wait list. Southwest has a long wait list. U.S. Rockies has a long wait list.
Mm-hmm.
And a few others have and then some are new caravans. We have a caravan now that's getting started in Oregon. It's just Oregon. They've got vacancies. It's leaving May of 2025. And they've got, I think, 5 vacancies. So
Oregon's beautiful.
yeah.
Well, we failed to mention this at the beginning, but obviously talking about caravans, you not only are going to be president of this club starting next year, but you're also the chairman of the Caravan Committee for the ACI.
Right, that's correct. Yeah.
And that was, I'm sure, a big responsibility, but one that you probably are very passionate about wanting to take on just because of how many caravans you've been on and your experience in leading them and so forth.
Well, that's true. That's true. It is a tough job, and I've got to admit it's a 2-person job. You know, you and your spouse, whoever the spouse is, and most volunteer jobs in the club are 2 people jobs. And Carol's done a great job keeping me on task and keeping me straight and keeping me from screwing up.
That's what we would do.
Yeah.
You know, that's what women do, right?
Right.
I was actually about to say that on your behalf.
Whether
You were?
whether we want them to or not. That's what they do.
That's right. We got to keep you men straight.
Yeah, that's right.
And then so as far as the club is concerned, we have got a fantastic group of volunteers in the Carolina Airstream Club. We've got must be 10 to 15 working on this rally alone, and that relieves the president next year in my case from having to do a lot of things. They're all around. You just look at them, there are people doing all sorts of things, and it really is amazing. As a matter of fact, kind of combining Carolinas Airstream Club with caravans, Carolina Airstream Club has more caravan leaders than any other club in the country.
Oh, wow.
We've got 7 couples that lead caravans. Either just let them, we'll lead them, or we'll lead them in the next year. All over the country. So we've got.
We actually talked about that with a podcast that we did with Tab Adams, didn't we? Because I think he mentioned he would be taking a caravan this year.
He's going to lead one, I think.
Tab is working on leading Tennessee, what we call mountains to the Mississippi. I think he's going to have another name for it,
right?
If he gets to do it. It's tough. It's tough putting together a caravan, and he's got some other irons in the fire he has to deal with. So hopefully he can get it off the ground.
Let's hope so.
Excuse me. We have another one getting started. It's the Crooked Road in Southwest Virginia. It's going to be a great caravan. And then we're reinstituting one, which is down the Mississippi River, called Route 91 Revisited. Another, which we've just got a lot of caravans on the books now. Last year in 2024 we will have had 24 caravans. In 2025 we will have 30.
That's awesome.
So,
adding 6 new ones.
Yeah. And the statistic about having so many caravan leaders inside the CAC, that's a good testament to just the quality of the Airstreamer, right? Because you've got to go through some experience not only in attending and traveling on a caravan, but then there's training and stuff you have to go through in order to be qualified to be a caravan leader.
That's correct. We have a course at International and 2 courses during the year online.
So when people do the training, that is set forth by Airstream or by the Airstream Club or by folks like you that have just gone on them before and have figured out the right way to do it.
It's the latter of what you say.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of latitude. ACI doesn't really interfere much with what we do. We got to obey the rules.
Yeah.
But that's they help us a lot. Don't get me wrong. They do a lot to help us. but the actual leading of the caravans has been up to volunteers for ever since Wally Baum was leading caravans.
Oh.
And over those years, those many decades, we've developed, and it changes from year to year. New things come on. The biggest thing is computers and the digital age. A lot of things have changed because of that. Some make it a lot easier, some make it a little bit more difficult. But when it's all said and done, one example is GPS. The travel guides that are produced by Caravan Leader would have to put turn by turn.
Oh, wow.
Directions from point A to point B to the next campground, and though some still do that, most everybody uses GPS, and that takes a lot of pressure off of the leader.
Yeah. That would be a challenge I'm sure it was a challenge for a lot of people back then to have to do those turn-by-turn directions. And
go down by the oak tree and turn left. And you know that real tall grass out there? When you get there, that's the field you want to turn left, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things that, the technology comes and we start adopting it. And it seems like it wasn't that long ago that there wasn't GPS that we used.
No, it wasn't. But it seems to me it's been a long time since I used a map to get some.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we carry a map with us anyway. Just back up. Can't get rid of that.
For sure. So the number of caravans that are being added, obviously, it seems like it's because the demand is out there. People want to go on caravans.
That's true. It's a basic economic question. Law of supply and demand. We've got the demand. We don't have the supply. So which is why we have some wait lists are so long.
Yeah.
So we're trying to increase the number of caravans so that we can.
So before we go any further, can we just discuss a caravan, for instance? Sure. So some people listening may not understand what that means. So can you kind of tell us what it means to have a caravan or to go on a caravan?
A caravan is a group of people, usually from 20 to 30, that contribute to a kitty, as Wally Baum did back in the day. The leader collects the money, plans the trip, makes all the reservations, does a lot of work. It's a pretty hard job. And then everybody gets together at a starting point, and they travel from location to location, doing whatever can be done in that area, which is why every caravan is different. Every leader is different just by personality. But it's a lot different doing the Florida caravan down the east coast of Florida as doing the Canadian Rockies, because the environment is so different. Weather makes a big difference in how caravans are run, whether you're doing warm weather, cold weather. And then the actual, what can you see? Do you go a lot of national parks? Are there any national parks along the way? Are you near the water? Or are you not near the water? So just so many things going to make them different. But when it's all said and done, the caravan is over. When you spend 30, 45 days in some cases, 65 days in the case of the Alaska caravan, you spend a lot of time with people, and you have really formed some good, close relationships. And we have done that. We've got friends all over the states, and some in Canada, that we could pick up the phone and call and say, hey, it's Ray and Carol. You mind we come, park in your front yard? Oh, yeah, come on, let's have dinner. That's a big thing, particularly that caravanners carry from year to year, and it's a kind of a hidden benefit. Not really hidden, but it's one of the great benefits of having a caravan.
I could see that for sure being the case when you're traveling together, you're spending each night together for that period of time. Everybody's looking out for each other's back to make sure they can get to the destination safely and stuff. That's going to obviously build some friendship that lasts longer than just the caravan.
Oh, yeah. And each caravan, oddly enough, somebody on that caravan will know how to fix this or fix that. And somebody else will know how to do this or do that. And we've had problems. We've had accidents. We've had people with broken arms. We had somebody on a recent caravan did have a broken arm. It just happened to be a retired emergency room nurse on the caravan.
Wow.
And so she did everything you would expect her to do before they got her to the hospital. So and nurses, if there's any one particular profession that has helped out, nurses are probably number one.
I bet so.
We just had another caravan where somebody had a pet dog, and the dog wasn't doing well. Well, there were 2 retired vets on the caravan. Take a look at this dog. So those are the kind of things and the relationships you create when you go on a caravan.
Yeah. So before we move on, you said that everyone on the caravan you have a leader, but they put money in the kitty or whatever. So then there's no money spent once you're on it unless you have something on the outside.
Spent, it depends on when your vendor, whoever you're using, wants to be paid. You know, campgrounds want to be paid, coming more so than in the past, want to be paid up front. So you got to collect that money early on.
So that's yeah. So it's not like once on the caravan, you as an individual pays. You've already paid that into the kitty.
Most everything you've paid for into the kitty. Now,
that makes sense.
They're free days, or maybe you want to go eat at a restaurant on your own. You know, of course, you pay for that.
That's different. Mm-hmm.
But the kitty is just that. It's a fund of money. And then when the caravan's over, whatever's left in the kitty is returned back to each caravaner.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's totally, and we're not commercial. The caravan leaders are not paid. They're all volunteers. We brag about not being commercial, and we experienced this. We were on an Alaska caravan, and we ran into somebody who happened to have an Airstream, but he was on one of the big commercial trips. Mm-hmm. So we had to talk with him. He didn't know anything about ACI at the time,
wow.
WBCCI, and we found out he was paying about twice what we were paying for a shorter trip.
Now, see, that could have been you. Had someone not told you about your very first caravan,
right? We
could have been,
and not known any different, not known that was really more than you should have to pay. But when you've got 2 or 3 professional caravan leaders, I mean, that's their livelihood, that's their income,
right?
You know, you're going to be paying more than you would pay with an Airstream caravan or the ACI caravan,
right?
Don't you think? And I mean, and maybe there's some. I'm kind of going down a different path here for just a second, but as long as the Airstream brand has been around, and how Wally Bonham was doing some very unique caravans back in the day, these commercial caravan companies that you're talking about, don't you think they got the idea from him?
Oh, I think not only did they get the idea from him, we're told that, I'll say we're told it, we have heard that there are commercial caravans out there that would love to get their hands on our itineraries, on our travel guides.
Yeah.
Because the leaders, and that's another benefit of caravans. You can go on your own, but you really don't have time to do the research and study where you could go, the things that you could do.
It's okay. We can always edit any of that out, so don't worry.
But caravan leaders just seem to have a knack of finding those little nooks and crannies that you wouldn't go to. We took over the Blue Ridge Caravan back in 2018, I guess. And we grew up there. We spent a lot of time in the North Carolina mountains, so we knew a lot of things that the prior caravan leaders who weren't from North Carolina didn't know. We added the zip line. We added Virginia Creeper Trail. We added rafting down the Nantahala that had been added. So most people who come through North Carolina don't really know all that, and we found some really nice places to eat. Well, that's not something that you normally would find if you tried to make the trip your own, which is one of the selling points of a caravan. Because people say, I don't want to go on a caravan. I don't want people to tell me where to go.
But I think it takes a lot of pressure off of the individual RVer. Plus, they can experience things that they would maybe never have experienced by going all over the country on these different caravans.
Right, that's true, and and I hear that every day. Well, we've had some people that have just returned on a caravan here at this rally, just won't stop talking about how great it was. And,
no, that's good.
Yeah. I would think that, I mean, the destinations and the activities that are built into the itinerary, you're not having to worry about that as an individual. So that whole part of your brain is turned off to where you can just enjoy it. And then you combine in the fact that everybody else that's going along with you is also an Airstream owner. So you've got some commonality and friendship there. I would think you would definitely want to choose that over trying to do it all yourself by yourself.
Right.
That's definitely true. Caroline just got back from a Rick Steves tour in Portugal, and it was a great tour. But when we all got together, we had nothing in common. People from all over the country, and so it took a while to create that cohesiveness. And eventually we did after it was a 2-week trip, maybe the 13th day, we began to gel. Well, when you get a bunch of Airstreamers together, boom, day one.
Yep.
There's that commonality. And I always say that the Airstream brings us together, but the relationships that we make keeps us together.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
So the committee that you're a chair of, is it that committee's job to choose the location, the region, the name of some of these new caravans that you're adding, or does that is there ideas that are sent in that you guys choose to, to pick, or like how's that new additions come about?
We put the word out that we need more caravans, and we send a plea out to the membership of ACI. If you've been on a caravan, more than one caravan, even better, how about come take the Caravan Leaders course and let's find a caravan. There are two ways we do that. The most common is for someone to take over an already established caravan when somebody retires or he's let it enough, and then that's number one. Number two, somebody who might want to start their own caravan, we let them bring us an idea, and then we put some ideas out there. We put the Tennessee idea out there, and of course Tab jumped on it. Talked to somebody, we put an idea out of the upper tier of the United States, going from Minneapolis to Montana, and somebody is asking questions about that. So that's just two of the different ways that they can become a caravan leader. Like I said, the most common is to take over a caravan that's already established, it's set, the itinerary set, as opposed to making your own caravan where you're totally in charge. You're creating the thing from the very beginning, and that's a very common way to do it as well.
Yeah. But so it's a combination of people wanting to obviously volunteer for that leadership position and the trainings involved and the commitment. But if they have an idea of what a really neat location or route would be, then they can say, hey, what do you think about this? And then you guys as the committee will review it and say, yeah, that's viable. I think that'd be a good addition to the list, because when you look in the Blue Beret and look at all the different caravans that are listed there, I mean, there's a lot to choose from.
There is, and we hope to have by the next couple of years at least 40 different caravans. Maybe not all running in the same year, but some caravans are every other year. Some caravans every other year, which means one leader will lead it every other year, another leader will step in and lead it odd number of years. So there are all sorts of variations of how that may happen, but we want to get as many caravans out there as we possibly can. And to do that, we've got to have more leaders, pure and simple.
Yeah. Wow.
You hear that, everyone? They need more caravan leaders.
Yeah.
Well, we only have a couple listeners right now, so
Listener, spread the word. They need more caravan leaders.
Yeah, that's cool.
So where do they find these caravans? In the Blue Beret or on the website?
In the Blue Beret, as well as the ACI website.
Mm-hmm.
You sign up by simply going to the website and following you read about the caravan, the leaders, and then you have a button to push, and it takes you to a JOT form, which is an application. You fill out the JOT form, it automatically goes to the caravan leader, so they know you've applied, and they'll get back in touch with you in the next couple of days and say, okay, you're on the go list, or you're on the wait list, the next year's wait list. Unfortunately, sometimes the wait list 5-6 years down the road.
I bet that's difficult for the person who has to keep up with that wait list.
It is difficult. It's just another job that the caravan leader has. It's just part of the deal, and which is why we encourage caravan leaders to have co-leaders or assistant leaders, so you can divvy up the duties. We're leading the caravan starting in April of the Southeast Coastal Caravan, starting from Jacksonville, Florida, going up to Chesapeake.
Oh, nice.
Chincoteague, off what they call the Eastern Shore,
right.
Virginia and Maryland.
Nice.
And there are four of us. There are two co-leaders. We're leading with another couple that have led caravans before. So, and we've divvied up the responsibilities, so that makes it a lot easier.
Takes that pressure off.
So, president of the club, chairman of the caravan committee, leading the caravan this year. No wonder when I saw you for the first time in a couple of years and we shook hands, you're like, we got a lot going on right now.
That wasn't the plan. We didn't plan it that way. Just things kind of happened, and
all because of an Airstream.
All because of that silver tin can out there.
That's right. That's right.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, we've said this to numerous people that are on the podcast, but for one of our goals obviously was to have these fun conversations to share on the podcast, so that people can just hear all the positives that come from adding an Airstream to your life. And there's a lot of positives. There's, if you dive into the club and start volunteering for a lot of things, then there's activities that you do that, is different than going and unhitching and enjoying your campsite and enjoying your trailer and relaxing and, camping. But even with all those responsibilities, you're still immersed in the Airstream lifestyle, and it's not like you're out having to dig a ditch or anything.
Well, no, that's true. And not like you guys, but most of us are retired and tired.
Yeah.
And it's a very unique experience. It's an experience that we're certainly glad we've got into, and I think anybody who bites the bullet and gets an Airstream, even if it's a used one at a much lower price than some of these new ones are costing, it just blows my mind.
It's crazy.
But they're out there. They're out there, and I don't know what your time factor is here, but prices of used RVs are tumbling.
Yeah.
Because there's so many out there. You know, in the COVID days, everybody went out and bought one, and then they wake up when COVID's over. What am I doing with that 20-year mortgage on that piece of junk I got sitting in the driveway? Not talking about his Airstream, talking about his other box.
Sure.
Right.
Lots of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lots of that. Yeah. Banks are taking a beating, I'm sure.
All of the caravans you've been on, and then even maybe ones you haven't been on, but you've heard stories from others about the experience or how unique it was or anything. Like, could you give us a top 2 or a top 3 as far as like the best ones or the most
impactful to him, maybe?
ones? Yeah.
Well, that's a trick question because Carol and I have different opinions on that.
Oh yeah.
Well, she's not here, so you get
Right.
to voice
I
yours.
get to be in charge.
Yes.
I don't know what it feels like.
Or just give an answer that you know she would be happy with.
Oh,
Do
there
that.
you go.
Yeah.
You've been around a long time.
Watch it, boys. Watch it.
My favorite one, I think, was probably Alaska, mainly because it was just such a challenge. To drive to Alaska is a big deal. It took us 2 weeks to get to where it started.
Wow.
Caravan was 65 days. And it took us another 2 weeks to get home.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was a long trip. But us at the time, I think 2015, I guess, we were young enough then that we're going to go take this big trip. And we loved it. I did. It was really great. Alaska's a great place to go. It's so unique to us, to us as a population.
Mm-hmm.
Then also another Canadian caravan, we went to Newfoundland called the Viking Caravan, which is extremely unique because you have to go there in a big ferry. It's not a ferry, it's a ship. I don't know why they call it a ferry. And you drive down in the bottom of that ferry and the big semis come up beside you and you can hardly get out because you're so close together. They pack them in, but once you get to the island, Newfoundland is just a great place. The people are wonderful. They don't get a lot of tourists because it's way up there.
It's hard to get to. Yeah.
They really love us. They just would come out and we met women in the grocery store. The story we tell is one of the members of our caravan wanted to wash their clothes, and we happened to be in one of the towns, and they went up and asked who they thought was a local, where can we get our clothes washed? We can't find a laundromat, and the response was, we don't have any laundromats. So my house is over there. The back door's open. Go ahead and wash your clothes.
Wow.
Wow.
That's the kind of people,
Yeah.
I think the couple left them $20 or something. But that's just the kind of people are there, and they're just very, very welcoming and very glad to have us.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
That is a cool story.
So that one, is that summertime, I guess, when you go up for that?
Definitely summertime, both of them.
Yeah.
Carol's favorite one was the Canadian Rockies.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful area up there. Of course, we loved. Another favorite was the Southwest Caravan, or the U.S. Rockies was a great caravan. They're all good. It's kind of hard to pick your favorite out.
Yeah.
Are there caravans that that the individual attending would have to upfit their rig for some reason, like because of snow or cold weather or something?
Not really. When you go on the Alaska Caravan, I guess they still do this. The Caravan Leader will send out some things you might want to do differently. You might want to, in one case, put bubble wrap around your trailer. They keep that's nobody ever did that. We only put a little bit of not a bubble wrap, but plastic coating on our headlights because we didn't want them to get busted. And they told us that you're going to be passing all of these logging trucks coming and going, and they're going to throw stuff off and kick up rocks because all the roads were gravel, which we learned was not the case. So yeah, that's some, but not much. We had one guy's water tank fell out going over a bridge in Alaska, but that would have fallen out anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't like it just because it was in Alaska.
Right.
Have you personally had any of those kind of mechanical challenges on caravans you've done, or have you been in?
No, none ourselves. Now we've seen people who have had them. Multiple flat tires, and that was mainly because of negligence on the caravanner's part, not checking his tires and maybe even getting new tires before the caravan started. But flat tires is probably the bigger thing. And there are all sorts of things that could go wrong. Your air conditioner goes out, or
but that could happen anytime.
Sure,
not
sure.
necessarily.
I didn't see anything happen in Alaska that couldn't have happened somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's good.
And here we are today, and past 15, 20 years or whatever, people are talking about flat tires or water tanks and things, a few things like that. But when you look back at some of the images of the first caravans with Wally, round the world caravan, African caravan, things like that, and some of the stuff that they had to go through.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier when Wally went, Wally had several trucks, mechanical trucks behind him, and back in those days, Airstream Incorporated actually sponsored those caravans,
right.
And they would put together some of their technicians from the factory and send them on. And when there was a problem, the old two-way radio, the CB was, working back then. I've had a flat tire, and those guys would come running up to the front. Of course, they also had about 250, 270 rigs on those caravans. So there's a lot of potential problems that happen, and they did have them. Today, we don't use that same system. Actually, ACI or WBCCI is actually running those and have been for a lot of years. But we do have a system where there is a couple or two couples that are appointed, either parkers or deparkers, and the deparkers go last, and they stay behind just to make sure if something happens to you, they can be there to help you out. They can't fix anything, but they can be there to help you make a contact with someone who can come fix it, and they're not required to stay with you. Once they've got you stabilized, they can come on. So it's not like it's a mechanical truck with mechanics following it, but there is that support for you when you're on the caravan.
That's nice to know.
And when you look back at some of those first caravans too, everybody traveled together, and I think some people might have a perception that when they hear Airstream and caravan, they still think that that's what everybody does, right?
I'm glad you asked that question, because a caravan is not a convoy.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we highly request that you do not follow each other, or if you do, don't have more than two or three together for safety reasons. Cars want to pass. You see a whole big long line of Airstreams on a 2-lane road. People get angry and they do things they probably wouldn't do. So there's a picture on the ACI website of all these Airstreams lined up together. Every time I see that, I cringe. That's not the way we do it. That's not the way we do it. I also get a little upset with a lot of local clubs on their way to, let's say, international rally. They think it's neat to get together and haul butt down the highway. And I see that and say, oh gosh, I wish they wouldn't do that. But they're clubs. They're probably whoever's leading it hadn't been on a caravan, doesn't know that that's unsafe, but they do it anyway. And we've passed them. They've passed us.
Yep.
We were doing what we were supposed to do, and all comes this group going to a rally somewhere, and they're all tucked in behind each other, thinking they're doing what they ought to be doing.
And they're all probably super excited and not paying attention. Yeah.
Our closest experience to that, from a positive standpoint, for Gina and I, is a few years ago we participated in a urban rally that was put on down in South Carolina, and just a little south of where we are right now, in Georgetown, South Carolina, where we parked in the downtown streets of Georgetown, and the morning of coming into park, we staged in a large boat launch parking lot, and we had to pull out of that parking lot, cross over a pretty good-sized bridge crossing the waterway, and then just took an immediate right turn and went into downtown to start parking. And we paraded through the town. The town wanted us to, actually. So it was maybe a mile at the most. And that was kind of fun to do.
Yeah, I was at one of those as well. I think Henry Knight did two of those, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were on one. And that's a whole different situation.
Yeah,
You had police,
that's very
you had
controlled.
a police escort.
Sure.
Doing what you wanted to do. And that's
you're driving slow too,
Right,
so it's
you're just
very
moving
controlled.
along,
Yes.
And
yeah.
that
it was fun.
It was fun.
A lot of fun, actually.
But yeah, you're right. I could imagine, a couple dozen trying to get out and merge onto the interstate all at the same time. That's not a good situation.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, a lot of things are different than the past, of course. But when Wally was doing them, of course, they did the round the world and stuff. And if anybody gets a chance to go to the Heritage Center in Jackson Center, there are movies or videos up there that you can watch of all this. But they wore suits and dresses and heels, and they were out digging. There is a video up there that talks about and shows that one whole day they only went 1 mile, and it was because they had to put boards, and they were doing one board in front of the next to get the Airstream across this riverbank or this muddy road or something. But it shows pictures of them in their suits and their dresses and smaller rigs. Everyone's having fun. No one's complaining.
In the berets.
They had the berets, yes. I mean, and we have all these conveniences nowadays that make it so much simpler for us.
In those days, it was good to stay close together because nobody knew where you were going.
Right.
They would send out explorers, I guess, or scouts to find the next place.
Yes.
And it wasn't like you had something written down to tell you where to go. So you had to tuck in and stay close together, make sure you didn't get lost.
Right.
You lag behind, you may end up lost in Africa somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really cool to see that, and to know that these caravans are this. The whole concept of the caravans is continuing.
Yeah. Well,
today.
all of those kind of epic journeys that were done with all the challenges have helped instill kind of like this. Well, obviously the sense of adventure that all Airstreamers have, but it's helped cause the caravans of today to be as top quality as they are.
Yeah. Sure, when you've got that experience to build on, and when you do, we know the things you probably don't want to do that we may have done had we not had that tradition behind us. Beginning with Wally.
So, final question, then we'll start wrapping up. I guess with you becoming, and we'll switch gears off caravans. So, with your role coming in as president of the CAC, have you got any major agenda changes? Is there going to be everybody has to have a particular brand of pickup truck to be a part of the club, or any kind of color changes to the outside of your trail? Anything that you sneak peek of what your presidency is going to be?
Somebody asked me that question earlier, and I said, if I can just keep doing what's happened in the past, without letting anything down, that will be success, because this club has come so far, and has done so much, and the organization is great. Prior presidents have done a great job, and I just hope that I can continue what they're doing. We do have, this is our 65th anniversary, as you mentioned, and Terry Shealy, one of our volunteers, has put together a year-long, I guess you'd call it party or celebration.
That's
and
wonderful.
instead of doing it all at one rally, we're going to do it throughout the year. And she's got all sorts of things planned. We have found the records from the very first caravan, our very first rally, when this club was formed in 1960. We have a volume of the first 9 years. We found it.
Wow.
It really wasn't lost. We just didn't know where it was, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And come to find out, we have a member, John Carrica, who joined when he was a little boy. And I think he's probably been in the club now 40 years maybe. And he, since the longest surviving, he just accumulated the books. People kept giving to him, and he's let us know, we were looking for, I got them. You didn't know I had them. I got them. And we're going to have them digitized. Sherry is going to, and Tab Adams is working on that.
That's wonderful.
And then come this time next year when we have this rally, we'll have these digitized copies available for people to see.
That's great.
And they're very fragile. We're not using them a whole lot right now, just enough to get them digitized and then store them somewhere. We've got them all the way up to 2012, I believe. We don't know what happened since 2012, but maybe they're out there somewhere. Maybe somebody else has them.
Yeah. Well,
That's
hopefully
great.
we'll be able to locate those.
Yeah.
So this year will be that year. I'm lucky enough to be the president during that year. And I got to tell you, the hardest job in the club is the second vice president, which is his job is to create rallies for the next year. The next hardest job is the first vice president, because now he has to manage all the rallies that he planned the year before when he was the second vice president. When you get to be the president, it's all done,
Yeah.
I hope. I hope. And you can kind of sit back and enjoy
That's great.
what's going
That's
on.
wonderful.
Well, I mean, given the years you've been in the club and all the things you've done to enjoy it, but also help, keep it successful, at least caravans and just everything. It's. I hope you do enjoy this coming year and have a lot of fun with it, because it's. I would think it's to be the president of when we're going to celebrate that anniversary, 65 years. That is a really cool milestone,
Right?
And we joined in the spring of 2018, and I don't know what the roster was then, but I know that the club has grown a tremendous amount from around that time.
It has.
On.
It has. And we've got members from South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Georgia, and affiliate members from all over the country.
Yeah.
Total of
That's
350 something when you include affiliates.
Wow.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, it is great.
It has grown a lot.
Mhm.
Yep. And
Cool.
I think it's because the word's getting out that we're a pretty good club.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Now, the other clubs in the Carolinas are good clubs too. Don't get me wrong. I think they've done a great job. There are 3 now in South Carolina, and there are 2 in North Carolina. The Piedmont Club is another North Carolina club.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a pretty good job.
Well, it's great, and it's fun to be involved in it, and I think if you own an Airstream and you're not a member of the club, there's nothing wrong with that. But being in the club and enjoying some of the stuff that comes along with it makes your ownership experience better.
It does, and for $100 a year, we get a lot. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
You're a member of the international club as well as our local club.
Right.
That's a good deal.
Sure is.
And that's what some people may not understand. There are 2 clubs. There is the main Airstream International Club, and then there's unit clubs within
individual clubs. They're a
in the
part of
states.
international.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
a part of international, right? We're
Correct.
subdivisions, I guess, of international.
Yeah.
Right, correct. And that's what we're talking about the 65th anniversary for,
Yeah.
is
Right.
this
I guess that-
individual club.
Our club, yeah.
Yes.
They don't really refer to them as units anymore, do they?
Call them clubs now, which
Yeah.
Clubs.
makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm sure there's a reason why they call them units to begin with, but I'm
Yeah.
not privy to knowing that. But I know they're called clubs, which is what they are.
Yeah,
Sure.
they are.
Yep. Well, we enjoy our participation in it, even though we've kind of been absent the past few years, traveling in other parts of the country. But we're excited to be here, and thank you so much for sitting in and chatting with us for a little bit and being part of our podcast. We're having a lot of fun with it, and hope people are enjoying it.
Yes.
We're glad you're here. Now, what caravan were you going to lead?
Oh, he started
Man,
already,
he got
Jim.
right in there.
Man.
Did y'all hear that? Right in there.
Don't let the opportunity pass.
That's right. Listen to him.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad to be
Yeah.
here.
No,
Yeah.
we are. We're sorry that Carol couldn't be with us today, but we sure are glad to have you here. And thank you so much for your dedication to the Airstream Club and to the caravans.
Well, thank you.
It means a lot to all of us, and I think there's a lot of people out there today, after listening to this, that's going to jump in on the caravan. Don't you think, Chris?
Yeah, with our influence, absolutely.
Oh, listen to you. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Let's hope that's the case.
absolutely. Well, I think some people are they don't know what they don't know, and not knowing what caravans were and how easy it is and how much fun it is, they wouldn't respond.
Yeah.
But now that they've heard this podcast and they know a little bit more about it, I think they're gonna want to. Hey, I want to do that. I want to jump in.
Straight from the chairman of the Caravan
Yes.
Committee. I mean, what more do you need to know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have him here with us today
sure.
and
You
share.
make it sound
Yes.
kind of scary.
No. It's I'm sure it's going to be very rewarding.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thanks, Ray. We appreciate it a
Thank
bunch.
you, guys.
Thanks for being with
All right.
us.
You take
All right,
care.
We'll see you down the road.
All right.
Wow, great conversation there just now.
It really was.
Yeah, I mean, the Airstream Club used to be called the WBCCI and Wally Bonham Caravan Club International, and partly because caravans are such an important part of the club.
Yeah, and can you believe, Chris, that we just had the chairman of the Caravan Committee here with us in our Airstream podcast studio.
I cannot believe it.
It's so exciting.
Well, actually, I can believe it because this podcast is becoming very popular, and we have got great people joining us.
We just have great Airstreamers, don't we?
We sure do. And we hope you're enjoying the podcast, listener. We hope you can continue to listen, follow, subscribe so you can get notified when new episodes come out.
Hit all those right buttons. You guys know what to do.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here. Hope you're having as much fun as we are.
We will see you down the road.
Take care.
Woo.